Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Abundance Show. Today, I am absolutely delighted to have somebody. I don't think I've actually we've done a Zoom or anything, but we've known one another online for a long while. And yesterday, Kelley launched her book. Kelley, can you hold your book up so people can...
I would be delighted to.
There we go. The Art of Self-Nurturing. This ties in so well with the Abundance Show, which is about loving yourself into limitless abundance. Good morning, Kristen. As people come on, or if you are watching the replay, just say hi, say where you're from, anything else, any questions you have, put in there, and I will definitely come back and answer any questions. And if they're for Kelley, just direct them to Kelley, because this is her sort of glory moment, because she launched her book. Yes. Well, it is, isn't it? She launched her book. Launched her book on her birthday. And just before I introduce Kelley, what I always do is, because this show is about love and abundance, and for anybody who's new, it's not about the abundance. It's not just about abundance of money. It's the abundance of love that we feel within ourselves that helps us have radiant health, that helps us to have beautiful relationships with ourselves and with our partners and with our communities, as well as, having that financial, moving towards that financial freedom. And it sort of starts with, if you're not feeling abundant today, just look outside the window or look in front of you. The fact that you're either sitting on a computer or you've got a TV, or your mobile says you're abundant. There are so many people in the world that don't have that. Some of you have just seen me at the beach. I know every day how abundant that I am with that. So what we do at the beginning of the show is I normally draw a card, but I drew a card for the day, for the show, and you're just going, oh my God, I've got a new one. This is my beach card. I actually invented. Look at the card we got for today. I thought this is just so perfect, perfect for Kelley and I. It's the love card. And I mean, I always say to people, yes, give us love. We love lots of love. I always say to people, have you looked in the mirror today? Have you looked in your mirror today and said to yourself, I love you, looking into your beautiful eyes? So many people I find the mirror work or giving themselves hugs and that totally forget to do it, which is why what we're going to be talking about today is perfect. So the message on the love card, morning Gayla, I have a big fan here. She has a wall of my paintings. She has a love wall and she has these cards. Feel the love within you. Allow it to say, I love you. And give yourself an inner namaste, where the divine in you says hello to that magic that the magic that you are. Right. Kristen says, I can find mirror work difficult. Talk to Gayla. When I started working with Gayla, I do a process called Heartscapes. And I've done one with her and I'm just starting to do them again. And we went through 14 layers of painting with readings and her learning to do that. So what it comes down to is, really learning to love yourself. But now I want to introduce Kelley. I'm just so delighted to have you here. But I have to ask you what MSW is that's after your name.
Yes.
Australian, not American.
That's true. It's Master of Social Work. So I have a Master's in Social Work.
So I have a Master of Applied Science. But I don't sort of, I don't put it after my name, and some people say I should share it more. So Kelley is an empowering counselor, a self-nurturing expert, a sought-after speaker, and a best-selling author, and an expert columnist for an Aspire magazine that is printed and things, or run by a friend of ours, Linda Joy. An expert instructor for inspiredlivinguniversity.com. She's the founder of Cultivating Peace and Joy, inspiring individuals to nurture peace in the world from the inside out, and the author of the recently released book, The Art of Self-Nurturing, a field guide to living with more peace, joy, and meaning. Welcome, Kelley. I'm absolutely delighted to have you here, and actually just, sit next to you in person, even though we are thousands of miles apart.
Oh, it is such a joy, Suzie. I will say that you and I have always connected around love and joy. Yeah, anytime we've read each other's work or other things, it's always been so just, I felt a deep heart connection already. So it's really a joy, and I'm grateful that you've invited me on.
No, it was spare of the moment. I've been helping promote Kelley's thing, but I've been off on a 9-day boot camp, and I was just exhausted, and I thought, I'm not going to get all of let's come on the Abundance Show. Because this will then go on YouTube, and I'll eventually get it on my website. So you'll get a lot more things. So it's great. So I found in Kelley's passionate about empowering overwhelmed and exhausted individuals. And it's very interesting, I think. I don't know what you find, but when we get overwhelmed, which a lot of us entrepreneurs do because we take on too much, and we forget to say no. One of the things we often forget to do is we often forget to say no. So what I'm going to ask you, what was the sort of starting point or the inspiration for the book, Kelley?
So the inspiration actually for diving into self-nurturing personally was that I had a daughter with a chronic health challenge, and she's 24 now. And since she was 2, she had epilepsy, she had migraines, there was always an emergency health-wise for her. And so I got to a point in giving to her and working and doing all these things in my life where my cup was very empty. And I actually felt grief, despair, and depression as a result of just giving and not filling back up. So one day I was just feeling so overwhelmed, and I really did think, my gosh, I was carrying this weight of responsibility to solve my daughter's health challenges and feeling so much despair. And I thought, gosh, it would just be so much easier to step in front of the next passing car than it would be to keep living like this. And I feel so incredibly grateful, because in that moment I had this like epiphany. I was like, well, what would be the antidote? Because that's what I do with people all the time. It's like, all right, so what's going on? Let's process it. And then let's find for you, what would be the thing that would help you transform it? And what I came to was joy. Joy is the antidote to all those things that I was feeling. And I thought, well, okay, I know how to research stuff. I know how to do kind of, I was like the medical coordinator for my daughter. It's like, I know how to coordinate a whole thing of wellness. And so I just started finding ways to plug joy into my life. And it was amazing. It was like, the things that bring you joy certainly are the things that are the most nurturing. And what I found in the process is that I actually had grown so far from knowing what I needed and what I felt and what would be the most nurturing thing for me, that coming back home to myself, nurturing a practice of meditation and walking in nature and, pausing to reflect on how I was feeling and what I needed, just transformed everything, and in a pretty rapid way. Like, it definitely felt like an antidote. And all of a sudden there was so much more possibility than the limited. And to your focus on abundance, I feel like when we're overwhelmed and exhausted, we're very much in scarcity mindset. We're in our amygdala. We're coming out of this kind of fight flight place. We're just surviving. And I lived there a long time. So I have great compassion for that. But when you're there, you kind of have these blinders on and you don't see as many possibilities, right? You don't see the abundance. You don't see the blessings in front of you because you're just trying to hold your head above water. And so I see this beautiful, the art of self-nurturing is learning to have this beautiful relationship with ourselves, to nurture ourselves, cherish ourselves, set boundaries, right? You said, sometimes we have to say no, like that's critical. Like to do all of that, and that shifts our perspectives to see possibility, to see the abundance in front of us, to feel the abundance within us, and then get to express it out. So whether that comes in the form of creativity or love or kindness, or I think sometimes for me, it's having more compassion and patience, right? That allows more spaciousness.
We'll in a minute.
Yeah, like just a lot more spaciousness around me. So I know for me, this has been like a 10-year journey. And so I've had a dream for at least 10 years to write this book because it had an impact for me. I love teaching, whatever I find to be useful. And so I would teach all of my clients, and I was teaching workshops and keynote speeches and hearing just what a difference it made. And I thought, well, I want more people to have like the tools, but also the guide. Like when you feel overwhelmed, you can't hand people a book and say, go do it. You need to like guide them in the process. And so that's why I called it a field guide. It's like a journey together. You're not left alone. There's a lot of handholds in the process, and that you can take it as slow as you want, or if people are really ready for a big transformation, they can jump in, but there's lots of places to access the information so that people can feel successful. People can start to feel what it feels like to be nurtured, and then to take that and expand it in lots of ways.
And it's about that self-nurturing is so important.
I think it's foundational. I don't believe that you can truly love and nurture others if you cannot do that for yourself. There's lots of very wise people who have said that, but there's an element of the giving and the receiving. It's this like, these like waves that go in and out, which is the only way it can be sustainable. I mean, I can give a whole bunch, but then I could crash and burn, right? If I want to give sustainably, if I want to give from this place of being fully rooted in to the abundance around me, then I need to keep refilling my own cup and not look outside myself for it to be done. Because in my experience, we're the only ones who can make that commitment for ourselves. And it doesn't mean we don't have loving and supportive people around us, but usually the more loving and supportive I am to myself, all of a sudden, the more loving and supportive people are around me as well. Right? That's the
it's
dynamic.
The mirror again, isn't it? It's the mirror of when I just wanted to go back to that point on patience. I think patience is one of the cards in my deck is patience, and patience is something wasn't good at. Firstborn, 8 on the Enneagram, whatever else, and I do. But it took me to have that near-death experience I had, 9 years ago. And I'm really impressed that you said 10 years this book has been in the making. So maybe by July next year, which will be 10 years, my book, Lucky to Be Alive, which has started and has a cover and whatever else, but it's sort of, I keep pushing it back. So I haven't done it. So I think but patience is something, it's like our bodies know. I was obviously in absolute overwhelm when my kidneys stopped functioning. I have a friend this week who's fallen and smashed her humerus. And she's a go person. She doesn't stop. And she said, and I said, I'll draw a card for you. And I got me time. And she said, you mean I've got to give myself more me time? I said, a lot more because you've been stopped. You can't drive, whatever else.
Yeah.
And you're in pain. So there's nowhere to go. And I think that happens. I think that happens quite a lot. I've got a friend who's an entrepreneur who came to me for a reading and then bought the cards and then sent me a message saying, I keep getting the rest card. And I said, yes, and you just broke your ankle. So, but so we sort of try to go against what our body and what our source, God, whatever else actually wants for us. And I think that your thing of that self-nurturing, and it's
and I think self-nurturing also is pausing to check in. So much of the time we're so externally focused. What does everyone else around us need? And I think it's so important. Part of what I found is that the more that we nurture ourselves, the more we value ourselves, and the more we can own our own worth. And the more we value ourselves and own our own worth, then the more we prioritize nurturing ourselves. So it ends up being, speaking of abundance, like this beautiful self-sustaining cycle. And in that, we're reminded just to pause and check in. What is it that I need? If I check in with my body every day, Suzie, and I notice when I need to rest, I notice when I need to drink more water, I notice all the different nuances of how my body's showing up, then I can make a nurturing choice around that, right? If I'm not aware, it may be way down the line where it's really bad, where I can no longer not listen to it, that I do something about it. But I think that the sooner that we check in and know what it is that we need, we can course correct. We can pause and nurture ourselves. We can take a day off. I took a day off today. I mean, that's huge. I haven't had a day off in a very long time. And I thought, after that
writing and promoting your book,
after that huge launch, it would be really important. And it's been wonderful. I took a rest. I took a nap before coming on. I know we're in different time zones. I'm in California. But I took a nap. Like I just listened. I'm tired. I need to take a nap. So, and I know we can't always do what we need to do for ourselves in that moment, but the more aware I am, and the more I can start planning my life based on that, instead of every single moment being, scheduled, I can say, gosh, I know for me, like, especially with all this, being on the computer now that we're not face to face with the pandemic, this is way different for me than being face to face. I'm all charged up if I'm face to face. The computer is different for me. And so I need these little, spots of time in between. I go and I take a 10-minute walk every couple of hours and rejuvenate in order to be able to continue to be present. So I think it's a beautiful act of presence to check in and just know what it is that you need.
And I think that's really important. I've got a Fitbit recently, and it reminds me if I haven't drunk enough water. I don't always respond or how many steps I've actually walked in and out. And it does help. But it's interesting you talk about that scheduling thing, because I have some mentors who think I need to schedule a bit more than I am actually scheduling at the moment. And I have a resistance to it, but I can see that if we schedule, this is from my university professor when I was doing my master's degree, and I was running my textile art business then. And I used to paint a lot of structures. And it was about that, freedom comes from structure. So we do need some of that structure that then that allows us to feel more joy, be more nurturing of ourselves. But I'm just about to pop a question up here. A lot of women, and I found also men, don't do the self-love work that they need because they don't have time, or they starts with the not being worthy. And Kristen here is asking the question, which I've just put up. Do you think as females we feel guilty self-nurturing? What do you think, Kelley?
Yeah, I think guilt ends up getting in the way a lot of times because it comes back to us valuing ourselves. If we think that our primary job or purpose or meaning in the world is to be of service to other people, and we take time away to take care of us, we can feel guilty if we feel that somehow that isn't the right thing to do, right? We only feel guilt if we feel like we've done something wrong. And so, a big part of my book for the Foundations of Self-Nurturing is actually really challenging our thinking around that. If I can truly believe that the best way to be of service to others is to nurture myself, so my cup is so filled that I give from the overflow in my saucer. If I really believe that, then of course I wouldn't feel guilty taking time, because I would know it was in service of the big picture. And there's something really powerful about understanding that you have as much value as other people in your life. If I have as much value as other people, then I deserve to take time to care for myself, just as it is a joy and a pleasure to be of service to the people that I love. I mean, I'm a huge, my tagline is nurture peace in the world from the inside out. I absolutely have a strong message of this work's being able to spread more love and light in the world. It's not like we would, and that's the thing about abundance, right, Suzie? You don't need to cling on to abundance, because you know there's plenty. You can be generous and have that be what flows out. And when we come from this place of being so filled up, then we don't need to feel guilty. We don't need to feel that there's anything unsettled about that. We can just really lean in to how much more present we can be. I mean, I know, do you feel this way, Suzie, that the more energized and nurtured you are, the more present you are with other people?
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes I'm not always as aware as other people are of. I've just been in a situation learning about speaking and selling for the last 8 days. And people were saying to me, besides my hair, that that I was different. I went in on a Saturday and I came out on the Sunday week, and people were actually saying to me, and these are people who I've done other courses with, were saying I was different. And it's because I shifted back to still doing all my love work and abundance work, but I'm going back to my passion, which is my art. But that's also about opening people's hearts to love.
Yeah.
And for some of you who know my story, know why self-love is so important, because when I was sitting in that dialysis chair and I was doing poor me and why me, I got the download. When you fully love yourself, that's a bit of a shock for somebody who's, been on this earth for quite a while. The biggest shock for me was, and then you will spread the message of love. And my first reaction was, but I bought You Can Heal Your Life when it first came out. I'm a big Louise Hay fan with all of that, and Wayne Dyer, I love, and things like that. And I sort of, part of me feels sometimes I'm carrying on some of that work, because more of us need to do it. Because when we're in fear, which is half the world or more at the moment, we're not in love. And then we're not any use to anybody else. Now, that can be really hard-hearted, some people feel. But, my mother was the world's best nurturer, volunteer, yes person, but she didn't have the love within her. But she used to always say, put other people first. Whereas, it's selfish not to. Whereas I think it's selfish not to put you first, because when you put you first, you become stronger. Yeah. You become much stronger. Yeah. And, you do look in this mirror, and there's no point looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, Suzie, I love you, like that. You have to feel it. You have to feel into here. You have to say, I love you. And I mean, I do it in bed in the mornings, and I do, I love you, Suzie. And I can get.
I love how your eyes lit up when you said that to yourself, Suzie. Like I mean, just that energetic shift for us.
Yeah, it's
it's so powerful.
It's so important. So I'm going to challenge Kristen, when gets off this call, to go into your bedroom or your bathroom. I feel I should make a sticker or a magnet that people can stick. I've got a little red heart that says I love you. But that I challenge you to go and do that, but you have to do it more than once, and you have to do it every day. It has to become a daily. It's about the habit.
I would call it a daily self-nurturing practice is what I would call it. And to that point about feeling guilty, I feel in this whole journey, the self-compassion is so important. So if you feel guilty and you're uncomfortable at first when you do it, just honor that within yourself. Recognize that it is difficult. We've gotten so many messages, just like your mother gave you, right? That we're carrying around.
Yeah.
And we can, but what's so powerful is we can transform them. And I think each time we do something, each time you look in the mirror and you say, I love you, each time you make a decision based on something that you need or a feeling that you have, every time you pause to check in with yourself, that is laying new neural pathways. That is laying a new possibility for you to connect to that part of yourself. So even if it's hard, honor that and then take an inspired step anyway, and then see what's there for you. That's part of the journey and the adventure.
Yeah. So that's right. It's just, it's something that I find a lot of people, and even younger people, don't do. And it's, I haven't got the time. And there are a lot of limiting beliefs sometimes that we have to, it's, well, just, on Sunday morning, I'm having somebody on tomorrow morning who's a stylist, and that, who, when I went in, I had the hair, and then we were doing a styling thing, what matches your brand and things. And then she said, somebody asked about me, and she said, because I wear flowy skirts and all of that sort of stuff, and normally wild hair. And, she said, you need to be more structured. And it was interesting, what I'd chosen to wear the next day was, instead of a flowy skirt, was actually trousers. So I walked in and they all said, oh, that's so much better. And then Tilly said, right, off into the bathroom. And then she's saying, we've got to get the hair softer. And I mean, my hair's still long, but I've got it up. And I have taken since Sunday to actually get used to this new look. I mean, I've had this look before, but they're saying, you can see my face. You can see more of me. And for the first time in years, it looks like I have to do something with my eyebrows, because they're always under my hair. So that was really interesting. So sometimes we look at ourselves and we don't like it. But what's been enforced for me is, every time I've been online this week, everybody loves my hair and says I look great, says I look younger. So I'm getting that reinforcement. So now when I look in the mirror, I think, I love myself. I've got used to it. But, when you get used to being a certain way, and sometimes it's really important. Hi, Penelope. She's saying it's very true. Right. So as we begin to wind up today, Kelley, can you you've made that comment about self-nurturing. What would be either the most important or three? I don't know. My feeling, I'm listening in here. My feeling is, what would be the most important self-nurturing practice that the people listening now and coming back to listen to the replay can do today to build that self-confidence within themselves, so that they shine their light and they make a difference in the world?
Well, that feels a little bit like a trick question, because I have so many.
I know.
But the one thing I would say for an actionable thing is to acknowledge yourself. And so much of what we do, again, is externally focused. We might have a really long to-do list. And so we're constantly looking at what we haven't done. And a huge part of both building resilience within ourselves, nurturing ourselves, and also connecting to the abundance in our lives is to pause every day and acknowledge ourselves. And I take people through a guided meditation. And at the end, I have them place their hand on their heart and acknowledge something that they're grateful for about themselves. And really feel that, feel your hand on your heart, feel your heart beating, feel that connection to yourself, and really I feel like the joy that opens up, the possibility that opens up, and that there can be this tender, loving, supportive, encouraging part of ourselves that we are cultivating as we pause and acknowledge ourselves. So you could do, like, at the end of every day, you acknowledge 3 things that you have done. Instead of what you create a done list instead of a to-do list. You can pause, periodically throughout the day with your hand on your heart and acknowledge something that you're grateful for. You could start your day with a gratitude about yourself and at the end of the day. But really, sometimes we can come up with all these things we're grateful for perhaps in our lives. I challenge people to find what you're grateful for about yourself, and keep feeding that sense. Maybe choose a different thing you're grateful for. Maybe you're grateful, and it depends what your challenge is that day. If you're having a health challenge, maybe it is that you made a nurturing choice for yourself. If you're feeling really dynamic, maybe it's that you took a risk that you'd been wanting to, and that you stepped into believing in yourself in a new way. It doesn't have to be anything anybody else believes, but what you can truly acknowledge with love towards yourself. And I feel like that will continue to feed a sense of confidence, belief in yourself, and that connection to your own value and worth. And again, the more that you can do things to connect with your value and worth, the more you'll prioritize yourself, and the more that you'll add more and more nurturing practices in to your life. And that, is endless. There is a incredible abundance of possibility, both of how to nurture yourself and the benefits of doing so.
I think that is absolutely amazing, and I think that would be that would be wonderful. I think I've actually typed that out and put it in the Love Yourself into Abundance group. But
Great.
I'm thinking that could be a really good practice for all of those people who are in Love Yourself into it's about manifesting abundance through self-love, my group. This could be a daily practice. We might actually start in there, and maybe Kelley, you can pop in there on. I think you can go in. You're a member of that group. Is actually go in sometime.
I think I am.
Yes, you are, because I tagged you in there last night. I wasn't sure. I was about to send you a message, please join my group, but I thought you were. If you could actually go in there live, I don't have to be there, and just talk about that for 5 minutes or so, and let's challenge the group to start sharing in there.
Wonderful.
I'll do something there and tag you in a post and say, Kelley's going to be coming on and sharing. And if you want to send me a few more tips, I can put them in the blog post I will write with this.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Suzie.
I think that's enough information for them to be going on with. I want to thank Kelley so much for being here. It's been so much fun. And I want to invite you all back, and those of you on the replay, we're going to be an hour later tomorrow morning to be with another friend of mine, Tilly, and we're going to be talking about how our style and how what we look like and things affects our brands and our abundance. And it also very much affects our self-love. And Gayla's just put here is a very emotional topic and lesson for me. Yeah, so many of us and so many older women have had to learn this because you were told earlier. So it's really important, and I'll put that up as a quote. But yeah, pause. Let's all do that now. Pause as we finish. Put our hand on our heart and just acknowledge you. Be grateful for you. And then we'll look at all the things, the magic about you to be grateful for that will really help you step into the true love that you are for yourself. Remember, everybody, love yourself into abundance. Namaste.
Namaste.